Good evening, everyone. This is the Common Council for the City of Milton. The time being 6:02 p.m. We will begin our session. And first item on the agenda is call to order and confirmation of appropriate meeting notice.
Meeting notice was posted on Friday, May 13th at Hometown Ace Hardware, Milton Piggly Wiggly, and Milton City Hall.
I will call for approval of the agenda. Is there any motion at that effect?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as printed. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. Motion carried. We have an agenda. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance now, and public comments regarding items to be presented and discussed before the Common Council tonight. Are there anyone in the audience? I do not see anyone. Inga, are you aware of anybody that might have come in and stepped out? Okay. There being no people out in the audience to make public comments, we will close that portion of our agenda. The next item on the agenda is Mayoral Proclamations. I'm going to read the titles of the three proclamations, if that's all right, with the people present, and we will enter those into our record, permanent record. Okay. The first Mayoral Proclamation is Emergency Medical Services Week. The second proclamation is National Police Week. And the third proclamation is National Public Works Week. All three of these are very significant and important to our way of life in America and to our city. And we thank the mayor for these proclamations. Okay. I'm going to look for approval of the consent agenda. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Municipal court, I'm sorry, that was all part of the record. Forgive me. Thank you. The next item is discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2022-12, authorizing execution of closing documents and warranty deed related to the sale of land to Signature Warehousing LLC.
So at our last council meeting, the Common Council approved the certified survey map, which legally creates the parcel to be sold to Signature Warehousing LLC along Putman Parkway. And the council also approved the sale of land as well as the Plan Commission reviewing that sale of land. Next step in the process is to approve the resolution, which is often required by title agencies, that authorize the execution of the closing documents and the warranty deed related to that sale. Once approved, a closing can be scheduled, and that sale can become official. So Resolution 2022-12 outlines the authority for myself or designee or the mayor to sign those documents when closing is scheduled.
I'm going with the idea that everyone has had a chance to read over the resolution. I tell you what we'll do, we'll look for a motion first, and then if there's any discussion, we can have it. Is there a motion on this item?
I would move approval of resolution 2022-12, authorizing the execution of closing documents and warranty deed related to the sale of land to Signature Warehousing LLC.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. There's been a motion made and a second made to approve resolution 2022-12. Is there any further discussion?
Or questions?
There being no discussion or questions, I will call the question. All those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by the same sign. Thank you. That motion is passed, and we appreciate your work. Thank you. Item number 10. Sorry. Item number 10. Discussion and possible action regarding a TIF development agreement amendment with Signature Warehousing LLC.
So same project as was discussed in the previous item. On April 5th of this year, the Common Council approved a TIF development agreement with Signature Warehousing LLC to purchase property along Putman Parkway and construct a 109,000 square foot facility. In the process of securing the financing for that deal from the developer, the financing agent that represents the developer contacted the city and asked if language could be revised within the TIF development agreement. In discussions with Attorney Schrader, we felt that that was appropriate and had no financial implications or changes to the document in any substantive way from the city's perspective, so we were willing to make that change. Another question came up in terms of assessments. In the event that the assessment of the property raises by 20% or more in any single year, the developer asked if their previously agreed to incentive could be accelerated to be commensurate with that increase in assessment. Again, in discussions with Attorney Schrader, we felt that that was appropriate and wouldn't cause any undue burden to the city or change the financial terms of the TIF development agreement. So we were in support of both of those requested amendments and have brought forth the amendment to that TIF development agreement that was previously approved on April 5th. We have, again, no concerns. We don't believe that this would establish any challenging precedent, and in fact have used accelerated TIF development agreements in the past with other developers, and this was, I think, a thought that they had after the fact in terms of dealings they've had with other communities. So we were more than willing to acquiesce to a business that was looking for something that they felt would benefit their business model. So the TIF development agreement amendment has been presented.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion from the floor regarding the amended TIF development agreement as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the First Amendment to the TIF development agreement with Signature Warehousing LLC.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and motion seconded to approve the amended TIF development agreement. All those in favor, please signify aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by the same sign. Motion is carried. Item number 11, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2022-13, accepting the dedication of Journey Hills first phase public facilities. Thank you.
So in the process of the development of the first phase of Journey Hills subdivision, which is located along North Janesville Street, the developer has completed, for the most part, their public infrastructure improvements that would be required before building permits can be issued. This would include sanitary sewer extensions, water extensions, stormwater improvements, as well as curb and gutter. Through the developer's agreement that was previously approved with the developer last September, once those items are completed and have been inspected by the city engineer, the Common Council can accept those improvements and would allow building permits to be issued. Earlier today, sent out a memo from our city engineer that outlined a few additional contingencies or punch list items that are yet to be completed, but are in the process of being completed. And from staff's perspective, that shouldn't preclude them from being allowed to take building permits out. They are in the process. They're very eager to start building their homes in that neighborhood, and we're eager to see those homes be constructed. So we would be in support of Resolution 2022-13, accepting the dedication of the Journey Hills first phase public improvements with the contingencies as outlined by our city engineer in the memo provided.
I would call from the floor for a motion to approve I'm sorry, let me get this, accepting the dedication of the public facilities with Journey Hills subdivision. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second?
And
Second.
just to check and make sure that
Yes, sir.
you're looking for a motion to approve contingent or condition upon meeting the requirements of the May 17th, 2022 memo of Mark Langer, is that correct?
Thank you. Could you would that be acceptable? Thank you.
Yes.
No, you're right. Thank you. I missed that. Bill, would that be acceptable to you as a second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mark, for that. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and anyone opposed, please signify by saying same sign. Motion passed. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Number 12. Thank you. Number 12, discussion and possible action to authorize the appointments of additional election officials to the January 22 to December 2023 election cycle.
Okay, so as we've said in the past, we're always looking for new election officials, and so we have, right now we have a total of 33 election officials. We have 2 additional ones that are interested. So we are recommending for approval, it's Annette Smith and Kenneth Smith. Since the availability is varied for all of the appointed individuals, not everyone is available for every election, so we'd like to keep that pool getting a little larger. Also, as far as training, because of the training, they are able to then go to different communities that may have some issues on their staffing. So, for example, again, we helped out with Town of Milton. We had 3 that they were already trained. They were previous people that we've used, and so they were able to help out. So,
You're looking for a motion to approve those 2 individuals, correct?
yes, that's
Thank
correct.
you, thank you. So I'm looking for a motion from the floor to approve Annette Smith and Kenneth Smith as election officials for the city of Milton.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
Second, thank you. Motion has been made and motion has been seconded to elect the 2 individuals stated. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by the same sign. Thank you. There being none, the motion is carried. Then we have a review of the April financial statements. We'll start with Kelsey and see if she has anything she wants to offer us, and then we'll go from there. Thank you, Kelsey.
The April financial statements are attached to the agenda. Everything is tracking out good for the beginning of the year, and I don't see any red flags as of now. But if you have any questions, just let me know.
Are there any questions from the floor for Kelsey? No. No, thank you, Kelsey. We appreciate all you do for us. So, with general items, we'll start with committee reports. Is there a committee report from anyone?
Historic Preservation met last week. Talked about, what was it? Talked about signs, if I'm right. We talked about appointment for our awards. And most of the rest of it, I think, was tabled. Is that right, Inga?
Yeah, because some people missing.
Right.
I see. Is there anyone else with a committee report, Bill?
Now, I'm filling Ryan's shoes on the CDA, and we spent most of our time talking about the compliance in various forms, and interesting discussion. And I think there'll be more discussion and some suggestions and conversation with the council about how we deal with compliance of some of the ordinances.
We'll look forward to that discussion. Is there any other things, anyone else? Inga, anything you have, or that you want, okay, all right.
I can speak
Please.
to Parks and Rec.
Oh, please.
So the last meeting here was yesterday. We talked about creating signs for the disc golf course and the Gaga ball pit. We're actually looking for some graphic design. So if there's a graphic artist in the community that wants to donate some of their services, please reach out. The update, North Goodrich Park, the playground's in, went well. Bring your kids, play. I'm too big to play, so I can't actually try it out, but would love to hear feedback. The planting of trees, we planted 40 trees in King and Crossridge Park. City staff and volunteers from the community, thank you for those that helped. That went well. And then lastly, our cleanup of the dog park, the Tails and Trails dog park, it went great. And we will continue to schedule that. I don't have a note of when we scheduled the next, but we'll publish it. Yes, the next last Saturday in April. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Terrific. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention in regard to the cleanup of the dog park, you know, I look at stuff on the Nextdoor app, and there was something that someone said, I'm thinking of moving to Milton. Is it a good place to live? I was blown away at the number of times people mentioned the dog park as an asset to the community. Not being a dog owner, but appreciator of dogs. I'm not a good judge of how good our dog park is, but evidently it's exceptional.
Very nice, yeah. Linda would be so happy to hear that.
Well, thank you, everybody. That's always neat to hear all the good stuff going on. Well,
Let me add
Please.
one other
Please.
thing. The other thing that came up there was the buzz about the splash pad. And, you know, thanks to the hard work of people opening the splash pad early when the weather hit 90 degrees.
That place is packed.
Yeah.
I just want to add to that, I don't know that people really understand or appreciate the amount of effort that goes into bringing this.
you know, I was going by one day when it was running, and there was a little kid inside me that said, "Why not?" I was almost tempted to wheel over there and get under that water shower. So it did look inviting. So. Staff reports. Let's see. I get to pick tonight. Who we start with? Wow.
Power.
I know. How about if we start with Kelsey? How's that sound?
I don't think I have anything to update tonight.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Thank you, Kelsey. I appreciate it. And then we'll go to my left. We'll start with Al. How's it? How about you, Al?
So Bill touched on a good topic from the CDA. We've had kind of ongoing discussions off and on throughout the years with CDA about code enforcement. That's always a very popular and unpopular topic at the exact same time. But it's one of those things that's kind of been a long-standing on everybody's kind of radar. But you know, we really want to start to address it, you know, sooner rather than later. As change happens in an organization, it provides you the opportunity to kind of reflect and review what you're doing. We were so fortunate to have Howie for all those years as a licensed building inspector, not having a licensed building inspector on staff anymore. As you're aware, we contract out all of our building inspections. Our ordinances are really inundated with that term building inspector. and it's really causing us to take a step back and look at a lot of our processes, code enforcement certainly being one of them. So coming to the CDA first and asking them kind of what their thoughts are, get their opinions, priorities, things that they see and hear. Although they represent the business community, they certainly are all members of our community as well. So they see things not only from the business side, but the residential side. So we're looking forward to continuing that conversation. But along those same lines, in terms of the building inspector discussion, as I mentioned, that term is very inundated throughout our ordinances. That has caused us to take a deeper dive into our ordinances. And I know that I've updated the council a couple of times on that process. We're starting to move forward and actually talk to outside agencies about assisting us with that process. Every time we peel back one layer, we find another layer underneath it that is even more challenging. It's not a situation in which our ordinances are bad or putting us in difficult positions. It's just that as things change and ordinances are updated, oftentimes we look at things in isolation without looking at things as the whole. When our zoning ordinances were created in the 1960s, there have been multiple revisions, amendments, redactions from that, and it may be a good time to take a step back and look at the entirety of the ordinances in terms of codification, circular references, things that may be outdated, things that may be in conflict with one another. So we've talked on several occasions as a staff, and Attorney Schrader has looked at it as well. So that's going to be a major undertaking if we move forward with it, and we need to move forward with it. So again, we've had some conversations with some outside entities that may be able to assist us in that process, trying to keep the costs from becoming just unwieldy. Some communities can invest 6 digits in rewriting their ordinances, and we don't necessarily know yet if we need to rewrite our ordinances as much as just kind of go and defrag them, if that makes sense in 2022 still. But that's a process that we are looking at, and will kind of be an ongoing process for a while, unless we can get Mark Langer to agree to become a building inspector. Then all of our problems go away. So, no? Okay. So we'll be doing that then.
Thank you, Al. Let's see, how about if we go with Inga next? Is that okay with you, Inga?
My mic isn't working.
Oh, okay.
I don't really have anything anyway.
Make sure mine's working. Again, thanks to the mayor for the proclamation this week for Police Week. I'll be attending the Rock County Memorial Ceremony for police officers tomorrow night in Beloit. It's an annual event that we put on. Just a special note that's special to me, although John Conger was not a line of duty death and died by suicide, he is still honored as part of that ceremony. And I'm always grateful that they recognize him as part of that every year. So we'll be attending that tomorrow night. On the police administration side, we are starting a new selection process. I'm not prepared to mention any details tonight, but I do have an officer who is in a hiring process for another nearby agency, so it's going to create a vacancy that we're going to try to get in front of and get somebody selected. So stay tuned for that. And I think that's all I got for tonight.
Thank you, Chief. How about if we go on the other side over to Mark, and then we'll come back. Thank you. Yeah.
Similar to Scott, thanks for the proclamation for Public Works Week. Also, thanks for the compliments regarding the splash pad. I'll certainly pass that along. It's nice to hear, positive feedback in any form, and the staff definitely appreciates that. The dog park, the little dog park, the turf's coming back and pretty good, so we're hopeful to hit that June 1st opening date still. Otherwise, just pretty much regular, normal routine items.
Thank you, Mark. How about if we go with Ashley next, and then we'll come back to Jenny.
Ashley and Jamie's Monarch Club starts on Thursday at 4 o'clock. So it's throughout the summer, and you can go talk about monarchs from egg to monarch. And we're going to try to live stream some eggs as well. So they are very excited about that. I believe they put out a rap video on our Facebook page if you want to watch that. We have released our summer reading programs for the summers for all ages, and we will be going into the schools the next couple weeks to talk about all of our stuff that's happening.
Ashley, I appreciate it. And Jenny, how about you?
Okay, yesterday we had an alcohol discussion with Jason Lee from the Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement Agency. And then also Jason Lee is our regional enforcement agent. He also brought one of the other agents, his name is Derek here, and it's an informal discussion for business owners, community members, residents, staff from the Chamber of Commerce attended, just really to ask questions and provide information that they may need some more information. So because of that, we had a pretty good turnout, but we are planning to continue doing this, and it will probably be sometime this fall that we are going to reach out to other communities. Right now, Town of Milton, City of Edgerton, Town of Harmony have expressed interest in attending and having their business owners come to it too. So I'm a little excited about that, because it'll have some maybe issues in other areas that we haven't thought of that will come up. And so we'll stay tuned on that part of it. And then board of review was held on May 11th, and we had no objections. So we are working through our statement of assessments and our assessor's report. So there'll be some information out that I'll be sending as far as sales prices and some increases now that everything is finalized. And that's all I have. Oh, are you sure you don't want to? Actually,
Can't.
okay. And I was not prepared for that. So the community recognition picnic is on Thursday, May 26th, and it starts at 5:30, with the program starting at 6. Okay. So Inga has been putting out on our Facebook page the different community awards. So those will all be presented on that night, and we do have the menu set. So if there's any specific restrictions that somebody may have for food, just let us know so we can accommodate for that. And make sure you RSVP on the website too.
And there's still a chance for people to RSVP, correct? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And mostly the RSVP is just to see how many people are attending, so last minutes are perfectly fine.
Good. Well, I did put together a team building exercise, believe it or not. And I'll introduce it this way. It's tasty, it's sweet, and it connects you with someone in your life. So, that said, I'll leave you guessing for a second. What I want you to do is tell me your favorite summer dessert. And then when you eat that dessert, who in your life do you think of? How's that, Vernon?
I'll go first, and the season is be on us relatively soon. Strawberry shortcake is my favorite, and I think of my mother because there was a ladies group at church that had a strawberry shortcake festival every year that we attended, and as said, it was tasty and sweet, and I looked forward to it because you got to eat without any guilt, I guess.
Strawberry pie from my mother taught me how to make it.
I'll keep going down the line. As some folks know, I always will hold my grandmother, Arlene Hulick, in the highest revere of any person that's ever been in my life. I owe her more than anything, anybody. And she would always make raspberry pie. And it was always the favorite of all of us grandkids. And many of us have tried to replicate it, but it's impossible because there's just some kind of magic that grandmas have that you can't impart into a recipe without being a grandma.
I'll go next, since we're going this way. It's similar. It's raspberry tort, and my mom made it always out of fresh raspberries from her garden. So there's something about when someone picks it from their own garden and brings it in and makes it special. But the best thing I remember is sitting with my mom and dad and a cup of coffee and this raspberry tort that came just out of the refrigerator and nice and cool and tasty. So, yeah. Cool.
I will continue it. Okay, so I am going to say it's a pie. It's a chocolate cream pie. And as many people know, I grew up in Walworth, and going to the Walworth County Fair every year, there was this amazing chocolate cream pie in one of the barns. And so it reminds me of my brother, because in this barn is actually where they'd showed cattle. So I would sit there and have my cream pie while I'm watching my brother win trophies and ribbons.
I'm gonna stick with the pie theme, but I'm gonna go with chocolate pecan with bourbon pie that my wife makes, and it reminds me of my wife, because I don't like pecan pies, but that pie is fantastic.
So my grandma Jean Stockman made this, like a green pistachio, like fluff with marshmallows in it and some nuts. There was no bourbon, but that's a great idea to add to it maybe. But I think I might introduce a new version, but that's what I think of, yeah, in grandma.
It's just kind of a memory. I grew up 2 blocks away from Sitco on the west side of town. I remember Dad and I walking up there all the time to get slush puppies at Sitco.
So I was struggling until you said that. Had an old A&W drive-in that was only open for the summer months in Verona, and so that was always the go get a root beer float on a hot afternoon, and you couldn't do it except for 3 months out of the year. So it was kind of a special thing. So that's the family together. The 4 of us would do that.
Sure.
My favorite summer dessert is probably a homemade rhubarb pie, but to bring the family in it, recently when we moved up this way in the last couple of years, we have an ice cream truck that goes through our neighborhood and the music plays, and now our son goes running out and loves the music, and I'm like, that used to happen when I was younger, so it's kind of fun that he's growing up with the same thing that I was being up here, so.
It's not necessarily just a summer dessert, but my grandma Langer would make a cheesecake. It's like a cream cheese based cheesecake, and she started making it for me on my birthday when I was, 10, 12 years old, and I think I've gotten one or two every year since. So and that happens. My birthday's in the summer, so.
I'll go with the strawberry pie theme for the summertime, and that would remind me of my wife and daughter, because they go pick the strawberries and bake the cake. So
I'm impressed. Great job. The theory behind this is food and people together make for joyful times. And what I recommend a lot of times to my patients to start healing in their own families over issues and problems that they're having is to come together over a nice homemade dessert and talk. So that's what brought this forth tonight. So thank you. Appreciate all of you. So I think we're ready to go into closed sessions, correct? Unless there's something else I'm missing.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. Mark, is it okay if Larry reads the motion? I don't know.
I don't know what,
Okay.
or what's appropriate.
I just
Okay,
know in the past we've always had
yeah,
somebody other
should
than
we
the
have,
chair read it.
that's fine. I mean, whatever's appropriate.
I just wanted to make sure I.
Okay, all right. I'm glad you asked. Consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to section 19 per 85 1G, Wisconsin statutes conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Claim form, Thomas and Brittany Mallory. Is there a second?
Second.
There being a second, are there any questions? I will call for a vote then. All in favor of moving into closed session, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please indicate by same sign. Motion carried. We're now in closed session.
And just for the record, then that's a unanimous vote.
Yes, that is correct.
Do we want to just turn the camera off and stay here?
Yep.